Hello, friends, and welcome to today's episode of Stand Up, where my guest is Skye Perryman, who's authored this awesome new book, Ordinary People, Extraordinary Times, a guide for all of us, how to reclaim your power, fight for freedom, and reimagine democracy. You're about to hear me say all that again, I think. Anyway, no news or clip show here on this Friday. It's been a crazy week for me here at Stand Up headquarters, trying to put my life in order and transition into this new situation I'm in here with the empty nest and moving back into my house. And I've also had several things happening this week, so it's made it hard to do the normal format of the show. But I promise you next week I'll be back with that and some really exciting new features with it for you on YouTube, where I hope that you're watching and subscribing at Stand Up with Pete and or at Substack. Obviously, you can get a paid subscription there or Patreon, whatever one works for you. And that, of course, does include an invite to our hangout, which I didn't do last night or the week before. So I'll make that up to you as well. I'd say I'd do it over the weekend, but I think I'm going to be binging Reacher. Also, I'll be in Washington, D.C. Saturday. That's tomorrow night for the Justice Matters Conference. It, of course, is hosted by the great Glenn Kirshner. Excited to see all the justice warriors. And you're going to have some big names that you all know, and hopefully I'll get to talk to them and share those conversations with you. But today, I've got this great conversation that I had with Skye Perryman, who I have so much respect for. She's such a smart, inspiring, effective leader who has racked up the wins for us over at Democracy Forward, and I can't thank her. We should all be in her and her team's debt. This new book is super helpful. I've really enjoyed reading it, and I loved this conversation. So here you go. Let's do it right now with Skye Perryman. Go follow her, go support her, go get the book. I'm talking to the CEO of Democracy Forward. It's Skye Perryman, President and CEO. Thank you for joining me again. I really appreciate you being here, and congrats on this awesome new book.
Always good to see you, and thanks.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, just real quick, the blurbs. Hillary Rodham Clinton, Michael Steele, Governor J.B. Pritzker, Stacey Abrams, Gloria Steinem, and Annie and Willie Nelson. What is your relationship with the Nelsons? Are they just big pro-democracy fans?
I think they're pro-democracy fans, and I think it doesn't hurt that I'm a pro-democracy fan also from Texas.
Oh, right. We always need to be reminded that she's a Baylor grad, but then I guess left for Georgetown law.
Yeah, I went to undergraduate at Baylor, yeah.
All right. Well, always good to have Texas folks here. Congratulations on this book. It's so important and really important. I think it's out August 25th, but to get right away, because it's a manual for the next few weeks and months, but it's also, I feel like, kind of, Skye, a spiritual guide in terms of keeping us inspired, which you've always done a great job at for us. Why this book? Why did you write this? Why is it now?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's now because it's the earliest we could get it out. The book processing time takes a little bit of time. And if I could have gotten it out earlier, we really would have. But this book answers the question that I hear all the time. I know you hear it all the time, that our team at Democracy Forward hears all the time, which is ordinary people all across the country saying, what can I do? And so this book really aims to meet people where they are. We understand there are people who are tired and exhausted. There are people who are working multiple jobs and can't make ends meet. There are people who have been fighting this fight for a long time, because a lot of this is not new. If you look at how Black and brown and communities that have been intentionally stigmatized and marginalized in our country have been treated right. We want to meet everybody where they are. Some people are just waking up. And they're like, they didn't consider themselves civically active or political, but they're like, we got to do something here. So hopefully it meets everybody where they are. It really, truly is intended to be a guide for all of us. And I think there is something in here for everyone in terms of a way to plug in to be part of the work that we need in this moment.
There certainly is. No matter your skill set, no matter your level of interest, there's a lot everybody can do. You don't have to be out front and putting your name on the line. There's so much you can do. I've been fighting apathy since 2008, Skye, and I wonder what you say to people who say, I'm just not that political. What's your general answer to someone like that who we really need to be, quote, political or engaged? Maybe we could just use different words.
Well, I think using different words can sometimes be helpful. I also think that this notion of I'm not that political is a little bit of a privileged notion, because a lot of people that say that are people that the system's been serving them okay. Maybe they've been doing okay in the system. For so many people, of course, the personal is political. You have to get engaged because our rights have always been on the line. What is interesting and I think hopeful and terrifying, but I'll go back to hopeful about this moment, is that so many people who are like, I'm just not that political, I just don't like that stuff, this harm is reaching so many more people than it used to reach. And people are seeing in their own communities what raids look like, their own neighbors, their own small businesses that they frequent. They're seeing what happens when you have misinformation and disinformation. People right now this summer, some people can't eat salad and raw vegetables because we've got a parasite moving around the country because of, because the federal government shut down the office that monitors this kind of thing. So I think what's happening now is the circle of people that are becoming harmed is expanding. And in that expansion, again, while terrifying, it's really getting more people to be asking, what can I do? And maybe not shying away from engagement. So that's kind of how, I've always answered it over the years.
I love that. And, your immediate response was, that's the kind of thing people of privilege say. And I agree with that. But the other thing I hear that I want to get your answer for is the cynical, who say the game is rigged, it's for the wealthy, maybe they believe in some conspiracy theories, maybe they're rightfully, maybe they're an older person of color, and they're rightful to have their cynicism or whatever it might be. Maybe they're a woman who's seen their rights go away. So what do you say to somebody who says nothing's ever going to change, the system's rigged? You believe that less than anyone I know.
Well, I believe the system's really a problem. I'm not going to say it's not rigged, but what I will say is that what we can do is we can decide how we respond. And so the question is, if you just think there's nothing that can be done and you're just going to resign yourself to your rights being violated every day, rights being rolled back, voice being disempowered, if we're going to resign ourselves to that, if the vast majority of people want to resign themselves to that, maybe I don't argue that they don't. People do want a future for themselves and for their community and for their families that is better than the present. They do. And so the question is what we can do when confronted with these realities. We can't change the realities. We can't change what people are going to do to us. We can change how we respond. And I do think that part of these movements, we need to be clear. I want people to do this for themselves. Yes, I would love, there's a whole book, a whole chapter on how to take care of your neighbors. Yeah, do it for your neighbors. Do it for your loved ones. Do it for your country. But also, I want people to have enough love for themselves that they say, I'm not going to be tolerated this way. People do this in their personal lives all the time. And we've got to apply that right now to the life of our nation. And I hope this helps me that way.
When my daughter was young and I was screaming at her, she said, "You can't talk to me that way." Nobody can talk to me that way. People do not allow that. Even my young daughter, when it's personal. It's a great point you make. So why should we allow it when it's not, when it's the organizations, institutions, the government? And let me, go back to my statement. Of course you believe the system's rigged. I believe the system's rigged, but it's a phrase that gets thrown out there so much by Trump and others that we don't know what it means. But it's rigged by and for wealthy and special interests and so on. But what I meant by you know that's not true more than anyone is because you understand the power of people working together. You understand the power of movements, or you wouldn't be doing this work. At the beginning of your book, you write this statement. I highlighted it. I'm going to steal it. I might print bumper stickers and give you nothing for it. Courage has become the new currency, and community creates the conditions for courage. I feel this in my bones. I've experienced it accidentally through creating this community as a result of me leaving corporate media and starting the podcast and meeting up with people where they're at. Help me unpack that statement, though, because it's so, so poignant and perfect.
Well, right. What's old, and later on, there's a chapter about courage. And we say what's old is new again. Courage has become the new currency. Number one, when you're in an environment like we're in right now, where there is a cost to everything, there's a cost to everything. The president wants to scare you and say there's a cost to you going to vote. You may be intimidated. There's a cost to going to the No Kings. They wanted to say you're going to be put on an anti-American list. There's a cost to everything. What we've seen is that the
looking
cost
for your phone people go afraid.
Exactly. And what we've seen is that the cost of inaction, the cost of doing nothing, is far higher than the cost of taking action. There's a cost to everything. So we're just in an uncomfortable, scary, dangerous for many people time. Okay, that's the given. But the question is what we do in response to that time. And I talk about various examples that you'll see throughout the book. Let's look at the law firms. The law firms that capitulated because they were afraid of being on the president's bad side. And let's look at the law firms that decided to do the right thing and to say, we, by the way, want to protect ourselves and our profession and our clients. And this is how we do it. When the president does something that's unconstitutional, we go to court and challenge it. They've prevailed in all of their cases. They've had clients appreciate the courage. They've had some of the best years they've ever had. And law firms that capitulated have become household names for cowardice. Courage is the new currency. Stepping up in this moment is actually the way, in many instances, that communities are being protected. Keeping your head down has not shown to pay off for anyone. I mean, it really hasn't. I mean, that's the thing about this overreach is it's so broad that keeping your head down is actually not paying off for anyone. The administration and these movements, they know what to do with weakness. They will manipulate you. They know what to do with weakness. They often don't know what to do with strength. And so, but we can't do that together. And there's a myth, I think we mythologize that there's these like courageous heroes that are on their own. That none of this work, none of this change was ever made by one person. It was made by people individually committing that they were going to be part of a collective. And so this book tries to encourage people to build those community focused bonds as well.
Yes, and I highly encourage you to do it locally. You will make friends. You will find purpose. You will accomplish a lot. OrdinaryPeopleAction.com is the website that partners with the book. Get the book now. It comes out August 25th. I'm talking to the heroic Skye Perryman. Support their work at Democracy Forward. They have been doing it. They have been picking up a shovel. Let's go through some of the actions. Stop spiraling and pick up a shovel. I hear a lot of people say, I haven't been paying attention to the news. I just can't. It's too much. I just spiral. There's nothing, it scares me. I am overwhelmed by it. When I hear that, I always feel the same as what you're saying here. It's like, well, what, are you going to do something, or are you just going to sit there? Because eventually it is going to come for you. They're going to build it. If you're not black or brown or gay or whatever the marginalized communities that they're targeting first, they're going to build a data center.
It's coming for you. It was coming for the law firm. It's coming for everybody.
So tell me about what it looks like, in action one, a little bit more unpacking that.
Yeah, so Stop Spiraling and Pick Up a Shovel really is about, and we do unpack why there's a lot of reasons to spiral. And I'm also, people say, well, we get so much hope from you, Skye. I'm also very honest. Like, we're in a massive crisis. It's not one that we're going to get out easily, and it is for all the marbles. And so we unpack that, why there's reasons to spiral. But again, we have to control how we respond. And too often our media environment, our cultural environments are feeding us so much doom scrolling. And so much they're feeding us all this stuff that it's like, in the 3 hours that you spent on your couch, and I'm talking to people that have the privilege to sit on their couch at night and doom scroll. Like, if you are one of those people that can, from the safety of your home, sit on the couch and doom scroll because you have a relative position of privilege, take those 3 hours and do something, as opposed to just resigning yourself to the fact that the nation is going to continue to backslide. It's not if we all make a decision that it's not, and if we shift our mindset. This actually goes back a ways. And I talk about a story of Teddy Roosevelt giving a speech at the Sorbonne in France. And he says, like, people, the elite, like, you guys end up being the biggest cynics. Like, you game it all out. You sort of decide that we're cooked and you're just going to throw up your hands. And he encourages people to say, to really adopt the mindset of ordinary people. What am I going to do today? This is what I'm being faced with. How am I going to respond? And that can really help us in this time. So there are charts, as you know, in that first action step about how to shift your mindset. And then we also just have some very quick actions, how you can support voting rights, how you can support some of the fundamentals that we know that people are really eager to get right now.
You suggest in the book, explore the 10 steps of autocracy and 10 steps to freedom. And then you have a website, 10stepscampaign.org. This is the kind of manual this book is. It's both really fascinating and really helpful, including Action 2, where you're talking about media and talking about press freedom, achieve information sobriety. You got feedback at Democracy Now! From a major news outlet whose name apparently will not be mentioned, but they said to you, it won't be newsworthy until someone dies while attending worship or a religious service. What was this about?
Yeah, so I tell some stories at the beginning of each action step to make sure folks understand this is stuff from the front lines. It's not just boilerplate or made up. And in this instance, this is our case that we're so proud of. We have 2 cases now where we're representing religious congregations and houses of worship across the country to keep ICE out of houses of worship, because one of the first things the administration did was to rescind a policy that, by the way, both Republican and Democratic administrations had across the last 3 decades that protect houses of worship, schools and hospitals and other sensitive locations from ICE raids. And then one of the things we saw immediately after they rescinded the policy was intimidating tactics, people not being willing, being very scared out of engaging in communal worship. So we brought this case in, I believe it was February of 2025, right after the policy went on behalf of Baptist congregations, Quaker meeting houses, and the Sikh Gurdwara. And it was, so many people were concerned about this. There had been reporting about harms, but literally a news outlet said to us, we don't know if we're going to cover the launch of the suit. There's just like an outrage a day. This doesn't really seem newsworthy. But if somebody were to die and then you brought the suit, that would really be newsworthy. And that's not how the law works. We, by the way, have won a court order in that case, as well as our second case protecting these houses of worship. And we were able to get coverage on the case, but it really drove home to me. Imagine how raw this is. This isn't like those first early weeks. And our team literally would stay up every night to get into court the next morning to try to cover down and address whatever we could. And you literally have someone sitting in a skyscraper saying to you, I don't know. So it really drove home for me that our media environment, for many, many reasons, the consolidation of media, the intentional disinformation that's out there, the corporatization, for all the reasons, is not helping the situation. And that's why we so appreciate you and this show. And so I ask readers as their second step to achieve what I call information sobriety, which is about being mindful of your media intake. Really thinking about, do I need to watch 6 hours of cable news? Do I really need to be in every single doom scrolling chat? And to instead flip the switch and find ways to get accurate information from reputable, to support journalism from reputable sources, and also to take steps if you can, and if this motivates you, to support what we call a pro-democracy media ecosystem, which is exactly, of course, the community that you're creating here.
Having a moral clarity with the reporters that you're following and supporting, knowing that they understand they support the certain ideas of democracy. It's not too hard to understand, but you need to know where their starting point is and what they believe as an organization or as an individual. I cut you off, but I think that's what you're... That's
right. And then you'll see as you're looking in through the book, look, there are charts. We define these things. Some people don't know the difference between news and commentary. We need all of us to take it upon ourselves to be informed, to take control of how we're getting our news. That's a big piece. So I wanted that to be one of the early steps because it's so foundational.
All that being said, if you could just give me the best possible angry face for a thumbnail to get people to watch and listen, because the truth is, Skye, that no matter where you are posting as corporate media, whether it's New York Times and CNN, or an individual or a group that's, quote, independent media, you got to get people to click. And so to do that, we have to come up with these thumbnails and these outrageous clickbaits. And so people need to understand what is happening, how it works, who's supporting you, where the funding comes from. I have no sponsors. I'm subscriber funded. They have access to me, and I listen to them to a huge extent, obvious. And as you said, the currency is your credibility, is your reputation, which is why you're here and why you've written this book. Let me ask you, though, about Action 4 before I let you go. I didn't get to hardly any of it, but you've got to get the book because there are 7 main actions. We already mentioned stop spiraling, pick up a shovel, achieve information sobriety, begin at your front door is action 3. But I want to ask you about practicing tailgate accountability. I think this is very important and very interesting as to how we understand how to communicate, how to share information, how to not burn people down because we don't agree with them on everything. Talk to me a little bit more about accountability, not something we're used to in America.
Yeah, I mean, this is the chapter. I mean, look, the president in particular, but lots of people, I mean, on both sides of the political spectrum are constantly saying, we're just so polarized in this country. And they're not actually being responsible about what they're saying there. Because if you look at issues, and you and I have talked about this before.
Yes.
If you look at issues, the vast majority of people in this country largely agree on the vast majority of issues. We want safe schools. We want, fair wage. Healthcare is important. But what we have right now is really enhanced levels of a political polarization where we are demonizing people who are not in our immediate communities and who do not see things the way that we should. And I want to be very clear. Part of tailgate accountability is being willing to draw red lines and to set some boundaries. So we're not going to normalize people that are violently engaged in an insurrection. We're not going to normalize the conduct of continuing to maintain racist and xenophobic ideas that you're expressing to marginalize LGBTQ people like that. There's a whole section on how to create boundaries when you're doing this, and I want to be very clear. But there are a lot of people who are pretty well-intentioned out there in the world that as a result of media environments and where they are and what they're listening to sort of have a variety of views, and we've got to find the ability to connect with them. And when I tell a story, I have seen this happen in my own life at football tailgates where I am tailgating with the family with these other people that probably do not align with me on the political spectrum, but everybody largely is sharing the same values and are able to come together and have fun. And as you get to know them, you can have some of these harder conversations and bring people in. Yes. For some people, that's their gym group, that's their running group, that's their church group. There's all kinds of these places. And so I'm encouraging people to find their tailgate. And if you don't have one, maybe think about how you're socializing, to find the place where you're around people that are not immediately like you, and to work on how we communicate together so that we can at least be heard. We're not trying to convince people or whatever. We just need to at least be heard and to at least bring that polarization down. And then, and this is the other hard part, when you're in your intimate spaces and everybody's comfortable with each other and you're talking very freely, do not normalize hateful rhetoric about people groups. Right. Be willing to say, we're not, no, this is inconsistent with my values, and be willing to set those boundaries. And don't confuse calls for a, quote, big tent approach with normalizing discrimination and bigotry. But at the same time, if you want to think about a big tent approach, you need to really think about how we're engaging with each other. So it's a hard chapter, I think, but I have a lot of, I think, great tools. People have told me, ways to approach these conversations. A lot of people have said, look, I felt heard because I have these situations in my own family or in my own community, and this is really helpful.
Yes. All of it is really helpful. There's a few books that you have to own and you have to tell people about and you have to spread the word about. Now is the best time to get this book because of the midterm election. There's so much that you can do, and doing things makes you feel so much better in your daily life. And otherwise, the standard you walk past is the standard you accept is a phrase, a quote I like a lot. It doesn't mean you pick every fight, but if you're not doing something, then what are you? Who are you? Who do you want to be if not the change that you want to see? Seems to be what's always driven me and obvious to me. And you are led by similar obvious inspirations, and you lead so many others. And now you've written this book, and it's great. And I think everybody should get it. Go buy it now. Ordinary People, Extraordinary Times. And, of course, support democracy and freedom. It's always great to talk to you, Skye. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Great. Thanks for having me.
All right. There you go. My conversation with Skye Perryman. I hope that you get the book. I hope that you let her know that you heard her here on the show. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope I can be forgiven for not getting the regular format of the show up every day, but we'll make up for it next week. Hope you're following on Substack and YouTube, and I hope that you are okay wherever you are at. Reach out, connect on the Discord platform if you're a paid subscriber. If you're not, sign up now, patreon.com/Pete Dominick. Have a great weekend. Be the change you want to see in the world, and I hope you find more joy than suffering. And I think that's it. That's all I got. Okay, bye-bye. When the tyrants taunt you and the sirens
defeat. You better stand up. Stand up. Let the brave meet the challenge. Let the weak flee. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. When you're tired of begging, saying pretty please, that's the time you gotta finally get up on your knees. When you can't see the forest for the burning trees, you got to stand up. Hey, you've been sitting so long, you got the creaky knees, you got to stand up. Stand up. I think you're driving wheels been leaking grease. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Well, there's a whole lot more of us who know what's right. They'll keep right on ignoring us if we keep sitting tight. You got to open up the window to let in some light. You got to stand up. That's right. We got to rise up. You got to stand up. You got to stare the devil straight in the eye. We got to let him know it's his turn to go. See it clear and all you hear is a lie. Don't get up off of your butt, get down off of your fence. Even if it ain't a very friendly audience, well, they'll begin to listen when you start making sense. And you stand up. Stand up. No need to point your rifle to defend your town. Just stand up. Stand up. You know they can't deny you what you're laying down. Boy, you better stand up. Stand up. Show your face of every color, yellow, black, red, and brown. She's the place where every lost child will finally be found. There's only one thing to do before we stand our ground, and that's stand up. Stand up. Well, the founding fathers saw a land for all. They had to stand up. They had to stand up. They had a keen imagination for a crystal ball, drawing all the plans of stand up. But all they had to go on was the time they were in, with other causes for laws, and since they weren't even sin, they knew that change was gonna come before the change could begin. They had to stand up. All right, they had to stand up. We got to stand up. We got to look the devil square in the eye. We got to let him know it's his time to go, and make it clear when all we hear is a lie. Why you lying awake wondering where the money all went? It'll be the cost of freedom that'll go unspent. You can see him flee the scene of that experiment if you stand up. All right. We got to speak up, we got to reach up, and raise your voice in every way you know how. Don't be toes up, you got to show up. Ain't no better time to do it but now. No need to pledge allegiance to no wanton tribe. Rise up, show obedience to the voice inside, and listen well and it'll tell you not to run and hide. It says stand up.